Okay, so real quick, I'm just going to talk about Rhymeberry. It just came to me today, just out of the blue. Rhymeberry has kind of, well, has since disbanded. It's not a thing anymore. And even before it wasn't a thing anymore, it had gone through a major alteration. I'm talking about original Rhymeberry. Well, maybe not original Rhymeberry, because I never saw them when Yuka was there. I actually only saw them when it was just Hikaru, Miri, and Hime. Their Magical Party Volume 2, that's their second big concert. That's probably, I can't put a finger on what's my favorite concert, but that's, or not favorite concert, but the best concert I've ever, best show I've ever been to. But that's definitely in contention, along with, and I'll talk about it some other time, is the Lowly Sin Graduation, and also, dang it, I had another one on top of my head. I can't think of it right now. But anyways, I'll talk about the Lowly Sin Graduation some other time. But Magical Party Volume 2, I guess it's kind of a story. I'll go into it. I'd always known about Rhymeberry. If you were into the idol scene at all, you knew about Rhymeberry because they were the only rap idol group. Not the only. So let me take that back. There's a couple other ones, but they were the most prominent. They were the one that, like, they had Miri and they had Hime and they had Yuka, and then they had DJ Hikaru, which was, this really tall girl with glasses, and she was the DJ, and she would just literally stand in the back, like on her little iPad, and play music or not play music. I don't think she was really ever doing too much, but that was like part of like the centerpiece that tied the whole group together. And I was lucky enough. It'll always kill me because I went for an AKB handshake, the one right before the saw slashing incident, like literally the day before the saw slashing incident happened. I was there. I got my handshake, and I was there with my friends Kyle. I had met Kyle, my friends Kyle and Anthony, and they were going to ditch the second half of the handshake event to go and see Rhymeberry. They literally had AKB handshake tickets, and they chose not to use them. Or these weren't even handshake. I think these were even two-shot tickets. Holy shit. They were two-shot tickets, and they skipped out on the two shots to go see Rhymeberry. And at the time, I was like, you idiots! But looking back on it now, like, damn it, I wish I would have gone with them. And I always give Kyle shit for not inviting me to go with him. But I think at that time I probably would have declined anyways, because just my idol fandom was in a different like mental state. But anyways, I was lucky enough to go see the to have this kind of whirlwind like following of them during 2014. This was after Yuka had left. They had some internal struggles. Yuka had left, and then they had made this big comeback with Idol Illmatic. And they're like, we're back! And, they started performing again and hitting up all the spots. And on a whim, I think I had seen them. I think they were with Bellring Shoujo Heart. And, I saw them at a show. And I remember it was me and my friend, one of my friends, Francis. And we went to the show. We really didn't know what to expect. But, and this is common among a lot of idol groups, the fans are always fantastic. The fans are so great. If not for the fans, I never would have gotten into them. I can't remember their names. I know there was Takashi, there was Gun-san, and there was Shohei. Those were the three that really, really I became friends with. There's a couple other ones that were really nice, always super fantastic to me, but I never developed a close enough friendship to where, I never followed them on Twitter. The other three, Gun, Shohei, and Takashi, we had talked outside. We had dinner multiple times. I still have a couple of their Facebooks, even though they don't really respond too much. But they really, 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 really just, befriended me and Francis and brought us into the group and really welcomed us in, looked out for us, basically. It's just, there's this mentor system that happens with idol groups that when you see somebody who's new, who's coming, you almost mentor them. You take them under your wing. You hey, you're coming to the next show? The next show is on Thursday, or and they're infinite, a well of patience, just helping you make sure you can make it to the next show, especially since we were foreigners. But I mean, because of those guys, I remember the first show. There was the part where I forget what song it is, but there's a part where everybody goes clap, clap, and then yeah, and then they go around, and then the thing about hardcore fans is they don't stick in their little group. Like everybody, if you're new, you don't know what to do during the points, and you'll see them start doing it, and then there's always going to be at one point where they just turn around, and I'm standing behind them, and they turn around and look you directly in the eye, and you're like, is he looking at me? And then they just come right up to you and involve you into their whatever the crowd's doing. And then you know, as a fan, as somebody who's new, you start having fun, you're laughing, and then you go in along with it, and then you're like, oh, I want to go again, and then they're like, oh yeah, the next show is here, and then you ended up. So I ended up going to like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 shows in a matter of like a couple weeks. And then during those times, they were just keep inviting me. Eventually, they're like, hey, you're going to come to the big one-man live next week, right? And I was like, well, when's that? He's like, oh, Magical Party Volume 2. And I looked it up. I couldn't remember the date, but it was December 24th. I guess it was Christmas Eve. Jeez, I didn't even think about that. But they were like, you're going to come, right? And I was like, yeah, maybe. I mean, I liked them enough, but I wasn't like super crazy. Especially, it's hard to commit yourself to a group and go to like a 2.5-hour show just to see only them, right? But I remember they were like, I remember there was one guy who came over and he had a ticket. And I still have that ticket. Let me see if I'll see if I can find it. So, but he had a ticket, and it was a ticket, and it had all 3 of their signatures on it. And he was like, here you go. It was like a $60 ticket, like 6,000 yen. And he was like, here you go. And I was like, what? He's like, here's a ticket to Magical Party Volume 2. Here's a ticket. If you promise to come, you can have it. I'm not even going to charge you. Just here you go. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess I have to go now. I was like, yes, I will go. And I took the ticket, and it ended up being one of the like best, most energetic shows that I've ever been to. There's so much stuff, so many interactive things that happened at that show. Like, there's a part where they do a big circle and everybody's running around. There's a song that starts and it just goes, we love the music, we love the disco sound. And then like the music starts and everybody in the crowd knows what to do, and everyone just starts like, they make a circle and they're all just like rotating around like in this big circle doing, yeah, God damn it. They're making a circle and doing it. There's just so many things. I'll make a top like favorite moments of Rhymeberry, like the things they used to do at their shows, because they used to do so much stuff. It was great, and just like I always tell people about that show. I'm a pretty in shape guy. I work out, I run, I swim. And I'm like, even times when I'm not in the best shape, I'm still pretty good in shape. Like I can always, anytime you like, hey, go run 3 miles, no problem. I can go run 3 miles. It's not a big deal. But that's the first and probably only show that I've ever been like gasping for air. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I can make it through this. This is way too high energy. And yeah, literally, that's the only show that I've ever felt that way. And I remember this one time we were all moshing around, like there was really moshing and stuff, like gentle moshing, like friendly moshing, not like aggressive, hurt each other moshing. But I remember there was a time when the moshing got so crazy, like I stepped on someone's foot and I went down, and I was like, ooh, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna smush someone behind me, and everybody's gonna fall on top of me. We're all done. And I started falling back, and I caught myself. And then, like, again, everybody, like, immediately, everybody stopped, like, picked me up, pulled me up, and everybody went back into the moshing again. It was an absolutely incredible experience. I'll wrap it up with, there's 2 stories, actually. One story is that the Rhymeberry fans called themselves the Rhymeberry Squad. So, like, they would always go around, like, as this squad and, like, you know, just pump up the place and try to make it more lively. And at the end of every show, there's always an encore, right? There's an encore call to call the girls back out and do an encore. And the Rhymeberry Squad, I feel so proud to be able to have witnessed, like proud and honored to have been able to witness these different squads. Like the Rhymeberry squad was a really great one. Baseball girls, they had their fans. They called themselves the Baseball Boys, and their squad was great. Every time I saw them do the encore calls, it was so fantastic. If you've ever watched Tokyo Idols, I think that's the documentary where Hiragi Rio, which by the way, I ran across her a bunch of times in Tokyo too. But if you go look at her fans and the way they do the calls, it's so awesome. It's so great to see them do the calls. I don't know. I don't know what's the best way to explain it. Maybe I can do that sometime. But yeah, the Rhymeberry squad. I was so like honored and proud to have. I don't consider myself part of them because I didn't like they followed Rhymeberry like crazy. You know, they probably followed them 2-3 years. Went to shows 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, that's the real squad. I don't. As much as I'd like to be considered as that, I don't consider myself personally. Maybe I can be like an honorary member, like, oh yeah, that's the foreigner guy that came to a couple shows near the end of their tenure. But sorry, to wrap up this story. I remember the show, the Magical Party was crazy. It's the last song. Everybody's jumping around. Oh my God, I told you, people falling all over each other, people screaming, jumping around, high-fiving each other. And I remember, boom, yeah, it's over. The encore's over. The lights come up. Everybody's like sweating. You can see like the mist in the air from people's perspiration, and just the heat has just made the entire place like cooking, basically. And I'm standing there and looking. The lights come on, and you start looking around, and boop! And I pick up a shoe. There was a shoe on the floor, and I was like, oh well, shit. I mean, I wonder whose shoe this is. And I remember I held it up because I'm a tall guy. I held up the shoe in my hand like this, and just like I was talking to my friends, and I just held up my hand because I knew eventually somebody was going to see this shoe in the air, and whoever's shoe it is, they got to be looking for it. So I'm holding it up, and I'm talking to my friend, and all of a sudden this cute little Japanese girl walks up to me like, she's like, it's mine. And I'm like, oh, okay, here you go. Here's your shoe. And she's like, thanks. And she just takes the shoe, turns around, and then disappears back into the crowd. just goes back into the crowd again. And that was it. That was like the show. I think that was like the perfect like story from the show. It was just yeah, it's absolutely hilarious and fun, man. And God, I wish I could have taken people to it. I wish it could still exist. It could be back again now. And I wish, yeah, man, there's so much. The great thing about it is I always say you can't keep a good idol down. And what does that mean? That means like there's a lot of shit and talked about idols and management and stuff like that. But like I think people don't realize or don't. They don't realize. I think a lot of these girls, this is really their dream, and this is what they enjoy doing. So, like, basically, I've seen so many idols, they'll graduate, but then they'll end up in another show again, and they'll in another group again, or they graduate and they'll end up in another group. I've seen some idols in like 4 groups now, and they're like 26, 28 years old. They're like, okay, well, I'll just join another group, and they just want to keep going. And like, if you look at all the members, those 3 members of Rhymeberry that I saw, they're all still active. Like, Hikaru, left the group, and then she ended up doing her solo thing. She was going around singing solo for a while, and now she's doing like, some modeling and stuff. Hime ended up, disappearing, and then she's now like one of the bigger, more prominent members of Lyrical School. And then, Miri kept the Rhymeberry thing going, and when Rhymeberry disbanded last year, I was like, okay, well, maybe she's gonna grow up and do her own thing. Oh, but she did her solo stuff too. But I thought she was like, okay, well, maybe she's graduating to go, take like a serious job or do this. No, she just ends up in another group. She's in another group now, and she's performing with some other girls. They dropped the whole Rhymeberry thing. Let me see. She's in some group called Rakia. Something Rakia now, and there's. Can't keep a good idol down. She's gonna be performing till the end of time, or until it's time to get married, I guess. But anyways, I hope you guys found some interest for me talking about Rhymeberry. I should do some sort of official thing, some sort of more like real thought out and planned out with real video examples, so you guys can enjoy it. But yeah, man, Rhymeberry, what a group, man! That was such a great group. I'm very lucky to have been able to experience it. Thanks for listening, guys.